is the host of a podcast called Medicated Minutes that is on Ka-Chung Radio. Please welcome Emerson Dameron.
You nailed the pronunciation. Not everyone does. I'm Emerson Dameron. I'm not a medical professional. I'm a guinea pig for psychedelic drugs. I love psychedelics. They're not for everyone, but they have solved all of my problems. I got into it kind of circuitously. For all of my life, I've had something called treatment-resistant depression, which is exactly what it sounds like. I was taking handfuls of antidepressants when I was 14. I've thrown everything at it that I can get my hands on. Nothing really seems to move the needle. I was a late arrival to psychedelics. I was historically more of a cocaine and early times guy. But a few years ago, I started hearing encouraging noises about ketamine as a treatment for PTSD and treatment-resistant depression. And at the time, it was still pretty fringe. There were ketamine clinics in Los Angeles, but there wasn't really any therapy. They basically just fill you up with ketamine and send you on your way. And it's wildly expensive. Like, it can go into 5 figures. And if you have that kind of money, you shouldn't be depressed. But what I discovered is there are other ways to get your hands on psychedelic drugs other than going to clinics. So I put out the feelers. I met some people who introduced me to some other people, and that's how I ended up in an all-night peyote ceremony. And my advice, if you ever get the chance to do an all-night peyote ceremony, is bring a large jug of water. Because it's going to be a long night. You're going to need to hydrate, and there's going to be somebody else that didn't bring any, and it's a good way to bond. And in this case, I was sitting next to this gorgeous young woman with a white flowy dress and a tiara, this kind of Silver Lake shaman aesthetic, who did not bring any water and asked if she could share, and I said, of course. We started eating the peyote buttons, and after about 45 minutes, things got really bubbly and wavy and nice. And I was pretty sold on the whole concept of psychedelics at that point. And I was also just completely head over heels in love with this woman sitting next to me, which I think the same thing would have happened had it been Ted Cruz. How open my heart was. We swayed back and forth, and we sang together, and I held her hair while she puked. And it was a whirlwind romance that lasted until the moment that we left the teepee, at which point the sun was out, and it was immediately obvious that this was not going to survive contact with Earth's atmosphere. As I didn't push the issue by asking for her phone number or anything like that, because this was contingent on the peyote, and I had to let it go. So it was a lesson in love and loss and contrast. And how opening your heart can be a risky business. I did, about a year after that, I finally got to do ketamine-assisted therapy for my 40th birthday. My gift to myself was I drove out to Santa Barbara and got rigged up with massive infusions of ketamine. And my first thought was, I felt like I was on a club drug. Which is what ketamine, that's another thing that ketamine is. And it was fun, but also kind of disappointing because I was hoping it was gonna fix me. That was the whole reason I was there. And then myself, the thing that I think of as me, rose up out of my body like the ghost of Sylvester the cat when he gets run over by a steamroller. And I flew way up in the air and saw just the entire landscape of the human experience and the sweep of human history. And I visited the giant spinning onion-shaped library of universal truth, which has an overwhelming amount of information, but an excellent filing system. And I saw interactions that I'd had with people in my life, people at work, diagrammed in chalk talk. The X's and O's and arrows that they use on ESPN to diagram plays in sports. It was really cool. Like, it was very meta, and I felt great for a few months after that. The way I would describe the experience is like let's say that you take the same train to work every day, and you're on the platform one morning waiting for the train to show up, and you look up and you see maps, and you see that there are other trains that come through that station that go to other places that you've never noticed before. And you see that you have options, which we only have the options that we know that we have. So, and there are consequences sometimes for making a counterintuitive choice, but it was very liberating. Psychedelics are very much in vogue right now, I think for that reason, because nothing makes sense. And I think it's a little bit concerning, not for like bullshit go ask Alice reasons. I think there's a lot more good than bad, but they're not magic potions. They're not gonna fix you. What they are is more like massive homework assignments. Like, you find out where you're stuck, and then doing the work of getting unstuck is up to you, whoever that is. Which it can be an open question. As I discovered in my worst psychedelic experience, which was when I smoked DMT. Which that was a challenging experience, which is the psychedelic euphemism for fucking horrifying. Right, they also describe puking as getting well. It gets a little precious. A little bit of that goes a long way. But I smoked DMT in an abandoned yoga studio next to a train track. And when the trains were rumbling by every 20 minutes throughout the experience. And I took my first hit and nothing really happened. I saw some pretty colors, which was frustrating because I wanted to blast off. So when they came around with seconds, I was like, fuck me up, Dad. I want the full package. And so I took it in and held it in and just went straight into the bowels of hell. The one thing I remember was, it was more of a feeling, but I did have one hallucination where I was hiding under some bleachers because some rides from a nearby amusement park had become sentient. The Ferris wheel and the roller coaster. They were stomping around, looking for me with ill intent. And the message that I got was, everything in your life that you take for granted is about to be ripped away from you. Your life is like a Jenga tower in a room full of drunk women wearing high heels. And my life, in fact, did go completely to shit not long after that, so it was nice to have some advance notice. I still love psychedelics. Shrooms were a big help in getting through my divorce. 5-MeO DMT was really interesting. That's the venom of the Colorado river toad, Bufo alvarius. It has nothing to do with DMT. And my experience with that was basically nothing. Emerson Dameron just ceased to exist. And for about 15 minutes, but he never came all the way back, which has been amazing. Because Emerson still has a lot of problems, but nothing is that serious when it's happening to somebody else. And I'm still a big fan of psychedelics. They can fuck you up, but they can't hurt you if you don't exist. Thanks.